3 with a dominant second half performance over the Robert Morris Colonials. And you know what? As the guys over at, I think it's Brandon Phoenix from Raspy Voice Kids likes to say, good teams win, great teams cover. Let's sing our song. The West Virginia Mountaineer fans get to sing Country Roads in Milan Pushkar Stadium as the West Virginia reels off a 45-3 win over Robert Morris in Game 1 of the Rich Rod 2.0 era in Morgantown. So congrats to West Virginia. Look, it did not start off good. It was 10-3 at halftime. West Virginia fumbled the ball 4 times, lost 3 of those in the first half, ended up ending the game on a fumble, which you don't like to see. But nonetheless, they got the win. They have a lot to put on tape to go out and fix for week 2. And, man, they better fix a lot because this week 2 game against Ohio is not going to be a cakewalk. But we'll talk about that on a different day. Right now, we're going to celebrate this victory. Rich Rodriguez ties Dana Holgerson as the second winningest coach in Mountaineer football history with his 61st career win. And he will most likely, at least let's hope, he ends up breaking that and getting into second place, solely into second place by the end of the year. If not, it's going to be a long season. But nonetheless, they get the W. They cover the spread, 45-3. A lot of positives to take away from this game and also some negatives to take away. And we're going to talk about all of it in this live post-game reaction show. Sorry I was a little bit late getting here. Obviously had to get set up for the show. We've already got a super chat. Trick No Good in the house. Not a super chat, but a membership. He just joined the channel. Thank you, Trick No Good, for the membership. Thank you very much. For those of you who don't know, you can be a VIP member, a paid member, for either $4.99 or $2.99 a month, depending on which level you want to join. It's a very quick and easy way to support what I do here on the channel. I will give you access to some early videos if you're a $4.99 level member, and $2.99 level members all members get you get first dibs on comments and live streams, and you also get random shout outs during my videos. But thank you, Trick No Good, for the membership. If you want to guide this conversation, an easy way to do that is to drop a super chat. It's a donation to the channel. It'll also highlight your comment and make sure I address it on the show. We've got Daniel Gigax in the house, who's another VIP member. We've got WVU Fan 13, another VIP member. Says, rough first half, did better second, but way too many mental mistakes. Have to agree with you. Listen, we're going to go over the stats of the game here in just a minute, I'll talk about them as we go through, but there were definitely a lot of mental errors on the offensive side of the football. WVU Fan 13 says it's against Robert Morris, slow your roll. I think he was talking about son of Skeeter's comment about over 400 rushing yards today. Make sure I'm not missing any other VIP comments here. Trick No Good says the 2 things that need fixed are very fixable: fumbles off of big plays and penalties. I think there's a little bit more to fix, but I'll get to it later. WVU Fan 13 says, yes, it's a win, 1-0, but nowhere near a good performance. Let's go Mountaineers. What are you guys smoking? WVU Fan 13 is not as positive as some of the others in the chat, and that's fine. It's very fair. But let's go ahead and get to it. Let's go ahead and look at the stats for this show, guys. I got Henry of Skulls, or Henry of Scollets, another VIP member. Thank you for joining, becoming a VIP member, Henry. Much appreciated. Did the last fumble count? I'm not sure, Chris D. It'll be interesting to see the comments. Jake T says last play was uncalled for. Yeah, you probably shouldn't have ran I think he's trying to get these young guys experience, trying to get them in the game. I had no issue with it. I don't think he was, he didn't throw the ball deep or anything like that to run the score up. Just trying to get his young guys some experience, but I do understand what you're saying. Nico looked good, but man, Jalen has wheels. And how about Scotty Fox, huh? How about true freshman Scotty freaking Fox, who took the ball and went, 55 yards down the sidelines for a touchdown? That young man has got talent. He's got wheels. And I really, really hope he stays around in Morgantown because he could be the future of the program. I'm excited about him. But let's go ahead and jump into the stats. ESPN stats, obviously 45-3. Hats off to the West Virginia defense, first off. They played a heck of a game. Let's go ahead and look at the team stats first, or talk about the team stats. West Virginia's defense held Robert Morris to 8 first downs, held him to 3 of 15 on third down efficiency, 123 total yards. And look, I know Robert Morris is an FCS school. I get it. But to hold a team to 123 total yards is really good. I think I think what this showed me today is that this team likely, at least for the first half of this season, is going to have to be led by this Mountaineer defense. They swarm to the football. They play with an edge. They play with passion. They play with aggression. I like, now it didn't look like Coach Ali was showing a whole lot today. I don't think he was doing anything too super fancy today. I'm sure he's going to have more next week, but I really like they seem to tackle pretty well. They had it looked like they may have had a couple coverage breakdowns at times in the game, but again, I think they can get that fixed. And some of that may have just been because he was blitzing. He blitzed a lot more than what we might be accustomed to. So when you blitz, you obviously are going to, it's a risk reward thing, right? When you blitz, you obviously are going to leave some guys open in the secondary. So that's a risk you take sometimes, but get those coverage issues fixed. Other than that, man, I like this defense. I really like the way this defense looked. They forced 2 turnovers today. Coach Ali wants 3 turnovers a game, so they didn't quite hit that goal, but they did get 2. And West Virginia only had 11 or 12 turnovers all of last season. They've already got 2 in the first game, so they're on the right track to beat that number from last year. All right. Passing, Robert Morris only had 70 yards passing. We're 7 of 22, 3.2 yards per pass, so that's good defensively for West Virginia. Robert Morris only had 53 yards rushing, 1.4 yards per carry. They weren't able to get anything going on the ground. I like the way that defensive front looked. I like the way the linebackers were filling holes. I really, really like this defense. Again, I've got to keep saying it's a caveat. It's an FCS school. I get it. But you held them to 3 points, man. And considering the fact that your offense gave them the ball back 3 times in the first half, that's freaking good. I don't care who you are. It's good. I like this defense. Robert Morris had 4 penalties. Again, turned it over twice. And Robert Morris actually won the time of possession, had the ball 32 minutes, 30 seconds. Yet West Virginia only gave up 123 total yards and 3 points. Hats off to Zach Alley in that defense. I'm sure he doesn't see it as a perfect game. I'm sure he sees things he wants to fix. But again, tackled well. Linebackers filled holes well. I thought they did a good job getting pressure on the quarterback. I like our defensive front. I think they're going to surprise some people this year. I really, really some of the players I really want to talk about on defense. Braden Siders showed that he's a really good pass rusher. I thought, Chase Wilson was all over the field as we expected. Reed Carrico played a really good football game. Fred Perry did a good job rushing the quarterback a few times. Hammond Russell made some plays. There's a lot to talk about. They only passed the ball. They only attempted 22 passes, only completed 7. Which shows me the secondary did a pretty decent job covering. Again, there were a few lapses, but we'll take it, right? Last year, Albany threw for over 300 yards against West Virginia last year, and this year they were only able to throw for 70. So I'll take it all day long. Now let's go over to the offensive side of the ball. Rich Rod has a goal of getting 25 first downs. They were able to get 26 today. That number would have been shattered. They probably would have hit 30 or more had they not had those turnovers. But unfortunately, they had those 3 fumbles in the first half. I tell you, if they get those fumbles cleaned up and don't make, and if they cut back on the penalties, the fumbles, and a few other things, this offense can be really, really good. We saw a lot of bright spots. Obviously, Jaheim White, you see the stats scrolling along the bottom of the screen. He played a really good football game today. He was him. Got 93 yards on what was it, 20 carries or something like that, I think. I'm looking at the screen now. 18 carries, 93 yards. So that's not a bad day at the office for Jaheim. And I felt like Jaheim did it. Honestly, I felt like it didn't come easy for him. The offensive line, in my opinion, did not get the push I would like to see them get against an inferior opponent. They did look better the second half, did open up a few more creases. On the trap plays, the guards did a little bit better job pulling and getting to their spots. But look, what can we expect, guys? This is a brand new offensive line, have never played a game together. There was going to be some growing pains. And I think we saw that today. So we need to see some improvement along the offensive line. We obviously need to see them clean up the fumbles and the penalties. Let's keep going. 625 total yards for this West Virginia offense, 5 of 11 on first down. Third down, 1 of 2 on fourth down, 232 yards in the air, 393 yards on the ground, 18 of 23 passing, which is efficient, 10.1 yards per pass, again, efficient, 53 rushing attempts, 7.4 yards per rush. That's good. Did have 9 penalties for 69 yards. You have got to clean that up. You cannot commit 9 penalties a game. If you do that against better competition, it will cost you the football game. Can't have it. Got to clean it up. They did turn it over 4 times, so that last fumble did count for those for Chris D, who asked earlier. It did count. They lost 4 fumbles in the game, and their time of possession was 27 minutes and 30 seconds. Did not throw any picks. Let's go ahead and talk about the individual stats for West Virginia. Nico was 17 of 20, 224, 1 touchdown. He did what you needed him to do. He got rid of the ball quickly, didn't take any bad sacks. He did get sacked, I think, 1 time, but I don't think it was his fault. The offensive line didn't hold up, and Robert Morris made a play. But, I thought Nico played a really good football game. He did had the one great deep ball late in the game to Cam Vaughn, which I think, to show that he can stretch the defense and show this offense can stretch the defense out. They don't have to be a one-dimensional football team. I think they showed that today. Jalen Henderson was 0 for 2 on passing today, but did run the ball really well. Had carried the ball 2 times for 40 yards. I thought he carried it more than that, but according to ESPN, it was 2 times. Scotty Fox completed his only pass for 8 yards and also ran the ball twice for 63 yards. So, again, Scotty Fox played a really good football game. Jaheim White, 18 carries, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns. Had a 19-yarder as his long. Nico carried it 13 times for 56 and his 1 touchdown. Sincere Bowers looked good in relief duty today late in the game. 6 carries, 54 yards, and a touchdown. Khalil Wilkins, 2 carries, 31 yards, but did have the fumble at the end of the game. Oren Singleton carried it twice on reverses for 24 yards. He looked good. Looks like he can be explosive. Clay Ash, 5 carries, 23 yards. And Tyler Jackledge, 13 of the game, had a carry for 10 yards. Gallagher had a carry for 9, and then Justin Smith-Brown, 1 carry for -10 because of the fumble he had there on that reverse. Receiving, Cam Vaughn, 7 catches, 126 yards and a touchdown. Superstar. Number 4, Cam Vaughn, yes, he had that 1 fumble, but, man, the play he made before the fumble was electric. This young man showed why he is expected to be the top receiver on this team, showed why he is a Biletnikoff Award, in the conversation for the Biletnikoff Award. Cam Vaughn showed it, and great game for him. Obviously, you're not happy with that fumble. Coach Rosnott, I'm sure he's not, but he showed why. Early in the first half, we saw Nico go to him 3 straight times because he saw a mismatch, and he knows, hey, if you play him one-on-one and you give him cushion, I'm going to throw it to him, and that's what they did. Grayson Barnes, the tight end, we saw some flashes from him. Again, he had a fumble too, but he also caught 3 passes for 37 yards. Jaden Bray had a good day, 3 catches for 26 yards. Jacob Barrick had a catch. Jaheim White had a couple catches. And we also saw catches from Logan Ramper and Oren Singleton. The fumbles were by Oren Singleton, Cam Vaughn, Grayson Barnes, Khalil Wilkins, and Justin Smith-Brown. And all but the one by Justin Smith-Brown were lost. Let's look at the defensive numbers. Chase Wilson led the team in total tackles with 6. Fred Perry had 5, Reed Carrico 4, Darian Lewis 4, Hammond Russell and Devin Grant and Ben Cutter and Ashton Woods all had 4. Another name I want to mention, Ashton Woods. This young man's a redshirt freshman transfer out of North Carolina, showed some flashes today. Played a really good football game. The future's bright for him. I'll tell you, some of the guys Rich Rod has on this team, even though it's loaded with a lot of upperclassmen, there's a lot of young guys on this football team that are already contributing and have a chance to be really good. Ashton Woods, for example. Cam Vaughn, who's a sophomore. Ben Cutter's a junior, still has 1 more year to go. A lot of good players that are still going to be around for a while in this program. Sacks, Chase Wilson had 1. Reed Carrico had 1. Hammond Russell with 2 today. So hats off to him for a great game. So they had 4 sacks total. Had 8 TFLs, 2.5. But Hammond Russell had himself a day. 2.5 tackles for loss and 2 sacks. 1.5 TFLs for Chase Wilson. 2 TFLs for Reed Carrico. 1 for Devin Grant. And a half each for Adam Tomjic and Nate Gabriel. So a total of 4 sacks and 8 TFLs for this defense, no interceptions. Did recover 2 fumbles. Punt returns, Preston Fox had a great day returning the punts. 5 punt returns, 52 yards, an average. Well, it don't show his average of about what? 10 per return. That's not bad at all. Had the 28 yarder. Cade Hensley was 1 for 1 on field goals and 6 for 6 on extra points. And Oliver Straw, not a super day punting the ball. He did have that one really bad punt, but he punted it 3 times for 113 yards and did have one inside the 20. Robert Morris, not a ton to talk about really offensively. Leading passer was obviously their quarterback, Zach Tanner. Completed 7 of 21 passes for 70 yards. Their leading rusher was Ethan Shine, who carried it 8 times for 20 yards. Leading receiver was Thomas Lee, the Bluefield State transfer, baby. My alma mater. 2 catches, 22 yards. Former Mountaineer Tyler Evans had a couple catches on the day, but only 10 yards. Their defense, their leading, actually, Patrick McDonald. That young man for Patrick Morris had himself a day. 12 tackles, 9 of them being solo. Really good day for Patrick McDonald. Another good day for Jakari Patterson, 6 tackles. Had several guys with 5 and 4 tackles each. And Nathan Karabatsakis and Mitchell Robinson each had a half a sack for a total of 1. So, and Jakari Patterson also had 2 TFLs on the day. So that Robert Morris team, I think, has some positive things to take out of this game against a team who was obviously more talented than them. Some good things, some really good individual performances. They obviously forced 4 turnovers. Those are things they can take away from this game. But this is a West Virginia channel. We're going to focus on the Mountaineers today. Let's go ahead and jump over to the chat. Make sure I'm not missing any super chats here. See, do I have one there? Nope, that was a membership from Henry that I've already talked about. All right, man, it's a lively chat. By the way, thank you also to those of you watching on X or Twitter. Ask that once this show's over, please come over to my YouTube channel if you've never been over there, Couz's Corner on YouTube. Check us out. Make sure to check out previous shows, and make sure you subscribe, and make sure you hit the notification bell to be notified of future shows. I wanted to take a minute before I just give my overall thoughts on this game to give a shout out to Appalachia Digital, my sponsor. Thank them for helping me keep the lights on, and thank them for supporting the channel and also our website over at WVSportsChat.com. There will be several articles about this game. There will be a preview. There'll be several articles. There'll be articles about the quarterback play. There'll be articles, 3 takeaways, things like that by some of the writers over there. So go check it out, WVSportsChat.com or just Couz'sCorner.com. That works too. But thanks to Appalachia Digital for designing that site. If you need a new site, go check them out, AppalachiaDigital.com/Couz. If you already have a site, they can also help upgrade it and get you found easier on Google. So go check them out today, AppalachiaDigital.com/Couz. Yeah, let's talk about the positives, and then we have to talk about the negatives too. I like to be real on this show. For those of you who watched me for a long time, I like to call it like I see it, good or bad. Let's talk about the good. You cover the spread. You come out and you score 35 points in the second half, which is good, regardless of the level of competition. The offense, when they weren't hurting themselves, they were moving the football really well and doing pretty much what they wanted to. You saw a lot of quick pass game. You got the ball out quick Nico was getting the ball out quickly. The run game was okay. I'd like it to be better, but it was okay. And I'll talk about that. I'm going to talk about that when I get to the negatives in a minute. Jaheim did his thing. The quarterbacks did a good job running the football. And I think the quarterback run game is going to play a huge role in this team, as we knew it would, right? It's Rich Rod. But what do you do if you have an offensive line that doesn't block real well or is not really there yet where you want them to be? You help neutralize it. A, the quick pass game, which they do, and B, running the quarterback. And they do that well. If there's any coach in America that can coach around a weakness on an offense, it's Rich Rodriguez. And so I'm confident that whatever issues they have, A, they'll do better. They'll get them fixed. And B, he's going to be able to coach around those weaknesses, which, again, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. We'll talk about those in a minute. But Nico did a great job today, very efficient with the football. He was accurate with the football. The receivers, for the most part, caught the football. I think there might have been 1 or 2 drops. I don't really remember. I wasn't really counting the drops, but Cam Vaughn played well outside of the fumble. Grayson Barnes played well outside of the fumble. I do think we have a tight end that can be a nuisance to defenses. I think that's a good thing. People are going to have to account for him in their game plan every Saturday. We knew what Jaheim could do. He did his thing. I hate that he didn't eclipse 100 yards today, but he's got all year to do that. And obviously, you didn't want to run him to death in game 1. So he probably would have broke 100 had he gotten 1 or 2 more snaps. But I'm sure that wasn't their goal today. Defense obviously looks really, really good. I mean, we'd heard great things about Zach Alley. I think we now understand it. His defenses just play with an edge. They blitz more. They blitz from and look, he was probably pretty vanilla today compared to what he's going to be as we go through the season, because today they were playing a team that they knew they had could outman. But even still, I think we saw a lot more creativity than what we were seeing under the old previous staff, right? I think it's hard to argue that. So I really like what this defense brings to the table. You see his players play with an edge. There was some chippiness early in the game, and again, there was some undisciplined penalties that went along with that chippiness. Opening kickoff, you get a guy hitting laid out of bounds. You can't have that. But what I do like about that is these guys came out fired up, ready to play, even though they were playing an opponent that they knew they should beat. You could tell they were ready to play, and they wanted to play, and they loved the game of football, and that's what you like to see. And they swarmed to the ball. I kept harkening back to Coach Stew's pregame speech in the Oklahoma Fiesta Bowl. Swarm defense, swarm and tackle. That's what they did today. I really like the discipline this defense plays with the exception of a couple penalties and a couple what appeared to be potential mishaps in the past game. But again, now Robert Morris did drop a few balls today too, so they kind of helped West Virginia in that regard. But I thought for the most part, Zach Alley's defense is probably not going to be one of those defenses that holds teams to low yardage, because he's going to be so aggressive and blitz so much that at times it's going to create one-on-one matchups that the offense is occasionally going to win. And when that happens, you're going to give up some big plays occasionally. It's going to happen. But on the backside of that, you're going to put more pressure on a quarterback. You're going to force more turnovers, which we saw 2 of today. You're going to hopefully get more sacks. You're going to get more TFLs, more stops behind the line of scrimmage, which is a TFL. I'm not sure why I said that. But anyway, you get my point. You're going to blow up more plays to offset the big plays you may give up because of the risk you're taking. That's the style that we saw it some when Tony Gibson was at West Virginia. He did a similar thing. And I personally like that kind of defense. I would rather you take a chance than sit back and be vanilla and be easy to figure out and let teams pick you apart. Don't be predictable. Don't let teams pick you apart. Go after the quarterback. Be aggressive. And I think Zach Alley is going to bring that to the table. I'm really excited. About this defense going forward. I think this defense, even if it takes this offense a few games to get it together, I think this West Virginia defense is going to be able to keep this team in just about every football game. I really do. I think they're going to be that good. Maybe I'm overreacting to an FCS opponent. I get it. But I think the signs are there of a good defense. I really do. Henry of Scallots says Bama hasn't lost a season opener for 23 years. Did they lose today, or are they losing today? I knew they were losing earlier, but obviously because of this show, I haven't had a chance to check the score. Now let's talk about the negatives. We got to talk about the negatives. Oh, I saw a super chat earlier. I didn't address that super chat, did I? Big Dan T, man, I get on a rant, a roll, and I don't stop. Thank you, Big Dan T, for the super chat, my brother. Thank you for the generosity. He says, let's get Couz over 10,000 subs. Our linebacker group might be the best in the conference. I like them, man. Chase Wilson, Reed Carrico, Ben Cutter, Ashton Woods, another young player who's going to hopefully, assuming he stays, be with this program for a really long time. I like it. You've got 2 veterans in Chase Wilson and Reed Carrico, and then you've got a couple younger guys behind him. And even though Ben Cutter's just a junior, he's now in his 3rd year of playing experience. So he's a veteran in his own right. So I like the makeup of that defense. You've even got a true freshman, Chris Filippo, who got some snaps today, made a couple plays. Curtis Jones Jr. saw some snaps today. He's a redshirt freshman. Nate Gabriel got in the game as a young player. So there's a really young core, a really young nucleus, I'll call it, on this defense that if they stay can really help propel this defense, in my opinion, and make them good, for the next few years. The offense, probably less young guys on the offensive side of the ball, but and that's where the questions are. The negatives, obviously the turnovers. It's the big glaring thing: 4 turnovers, 4 fumbles, 4 lost fumbles. Actually, had 5 total fumbles. 4 of them were lost. I know a lot of fans were panicking about that in the first half, and yes, it was ugly, and yes, it's not good. But as someone who I played football at the high school level, not at the college level, but as someone who I fumbled the ball a couple times in my career, what it can do is it can seep into your brain and become, you start playing cautious, you start playing afraid to make a mistake, and normally I'm the type of guy who said, man, if these guys fumble, get them out of the game. But in today's case, man, it wasn't just one guy. It was the whole team or multiple guys fumbling the football. They just had the yips, maybe. Sometimes teams get the yips. If they're going to get the yips in a game, I would rather it be this one. Because as you saw, it didn't hurt them in the end. Right? They still won 45-3. They still covered the spread. Now, if they get the yips and this continues for the next 2-3 weeks, then I'll start to worry. If they do it next week against Ohio on the road, I'll worry. But that is something you can fix. You can do ball control drills. You can just basically drill it in these guys' head. Most of the fumbles, the guys were carrying the football too loose. You've got to get that sucker high and tight, or get two hands on it when the defense gets around you. Stop carrying the ball loose. But that's something that's fixable. You can fix it, and I think they will fix it. I think they're going to learn their lesson. When they get in the film room, they're going to talk about it. They're going to pound it into these guys' brains, and they're going to get it fixed. I'm not really worried about, again, if it continues, I'll worry, but I'm not worried about it right now because I think it's fixable. The penalties, again, I think the penalties are also fixable. It could have been first game jitters. It could have been, you've got, there were several false starts and holding calls. It could be offensive linemen that are still trying to gel together. It could be offensive linemen that are, still trying to figure out how to run this system, an offense that's still trying to run this system. All of that's, guys, let's remember, Rich Rod went 0-3 last year at Jacksonville State, but then he went on a winning streak and ended up winning his conference in a bowl game. So they were able to play this poorly in the first half and still win the football game. Now, thankfully, they weren't playing a Penn State or somebody like that, because if they had been, they would have gotten run off the field today with those mistakes. But they weren't. They come out in the second half. They played better. The offense got into a little bit of a rhythm. They played much better. Racked up over 600 yards of offense. So it's not time to panic just yet. All the mistakes are fixable. Now, the one negative area that I'm probably the most concerned about is I didn't think the offensive line got the amount of push they should have gotten against an FCS team. You've got guys on this team that are, most of them have either played a lot of ball at the G5 level or have been on Power 4 rosters. May not have played a ton, but they at least got to practice against Power 4 opponents every day. They should be bigger, stronger than FCS teams. And yes, they ran the ball for over 300 yards, but there was a lot of those rushes that I felt like Jaheim got touched way too early. And he used his ability to break tackles, get around guys at times. I'm not saying the offensive line played bad necessarily, but they should have been dominant against his team. And I just didn't feel like they were. They didn't get to the second level as good as I like them to see. You remember watching Zach Frazier and Wyatt Milam and those guys block? They'd get their guy, push him out of the way, and then they'd go block a linebacker. Jaheim was getting hit by the linebackers a lot today. So I'd like to see the offensive line, but hey, one step at a time right now. They just have to get good at blocking their man, right? Then they can worry about getting to the second level, but that is a concern because when you play teams like Pitt, like Kansas, like Utah, these Power 4 teams, heck, even maybe Ohio next week, you've got to get those linemen to the second level and help your running back out to get more yards because the running back can't do it on their own, all on their own. But so yeah, I'd like to see the offensive line, and I also, when it comes to passing, Nico didn't have a ton of time. Again, Coach Rod can kind of scheme around a little bit with quick pass plays out, to screens to Cam Vaughn, screens to Orrin Singleton. They can run reverses. Running the quarterback helps with it, right? Because it's hard to account for the quarterback. Because if you get a hat on even if you're not getting the push you want, if you get a hat on a hat and you get just a small crease, that quarterback can take it up in there, right? So that's going to help. So I'm not. Basically, what I think is the offensive line is the question mark we all thought it was going to be going into the season. It's not a huge surprise. You've got 5 brand new starters up there. You've got Landon Livingston, who hasn't played a lot of ball. You've got Nick Cray, who hasn't played hardly any ball. You've got a bunch of guys who have played very little ball. Walter Youngberg is really the only guy on that offensive line who's played a ton of snaps, and he did it all at the G6 level. So it's going to take a few games. So let's be patient. Let's hope, they're going to get to practice on Monday, maybe even tomorrow. They'll get in the film room tomorrow, probably practice on Monday. They'll start fixing their mistakes. And by week 3, 4, 5 of the season, I think we'll start seeing this offensive line gel more and hopefully cut down on these false start penalties and holding penalties. But that's the positives and the negatives from this game that I took away from it. And, so let's go to the chat real quick and see what you guys have to say. I love the activity in the chat room. We've got Stephen Vitt in the house, who's an Ohio Bobcats fan. He says he roots for West Virginia when he's not rooting for Ohio. Obviously, he's going to be rooting against West Virginia next week, and Stephen and I are planning to get together to do a preview show of next week. Stephen has his own channel. STV Castle, I think is the name of it. Stephen, correct me if I'm wrong. Chris D says Scotty Fox was lightning in a bottle. I did see somebody say that Scotty Fox needs to start. Look, man, Nico played a hell of a football game today. He was 17 to 20, over 200 yards, ran the ball for 50 yards, and had a couple touchdowns. He did what he was supposed to do. Nico Marchiol played a really good – they didn't ask him to do a lot today. I thought he made good decisions with the football. There was one time late in the third quarter I felt like he kept it. I felt like he should have handed it to the running back. But outside of that, I felt like he played a good football game today. He made good decisions. He got the ball where it needed to go. I liked it. But I am super excited about the future of Scotty Fox, assuming he stays with the team. And Florida State's up on Alabama 24-7. Holy cow. Man, Alabama fans are going to be ready to fire Kalen DeBoer after game 1. And Raven, you hit the nail on the head. My son-in-law and I were talking about this. Preston Fox came that close to breaking one late in the game. I was really hoping he would break it. Raven says Preston Fox is right on the edge of a big breakout play. He is. And he so much deserves. I would love to see him take a kick back to the house for a touchdown because he deserves it. That young man has been loyal to this team. He retired from football, decided he wanted to come back and play. He's a redshirt senior, true Mountaineer through and through. I'd love to see him I'd love to see him break one. Fred Perry had some good plays. You're absolutely right, Raven. Let's see what other chats we have here from channel members. Big E 7375 says turnovers happen. You just have to correct it. And again, it's all correctable. If they just hold the ball high and tight, quit trying to hold it like a loaf of bread. I thought there were a couple times they were trying too hard to make a play. Sometimes just take the yards you've been given, protect the football, and go to the ground. Almost every one of those plays were good positive yardage plays, man. Just get the ball and go to the ground. Protect it, go to the ground, live to play another play. But they'll do that. Cam Vaughn's just a sophomore. I think Orrin Singleton's an upperclassman. Not sure what year Grayson Barnes is in. But, look, these guys are young. They're going to learn from these mistakes. They'll be okay. A lone redwood tree's in the house. What's up, John Kelly? He says, hey, Couz, let's go Mountaineers. Barry Manuel's in the house. Matt T, Nathan Scott. Chris D says it's nice to have fun and win. And I tell you, wasn't that a nice, exciting, fun style of football to watch? Man, I so much miss that fast-paced offense. I love the fast-paced, hurry-up offense. I love it. It's so fun to watch. We've got John Kristofic in the house. Definitely, John, 4 fumbles. You can't have it. If they'd have been playing a good team today, they lose that football game. WVU fan 13. You're laughing at Chris D. We did have fun, Chris. We did. Did you have fun at the tailgate? Timothy Green's in the house. Jersey Ear in the house. Go check out his show. Jersey, I made a comment on X the other day. I have seen so many West Virginia podcasts or YouTube channels pop up lately. There's about a dozen of us out there. But one of the really good ones, the new ones, but really good ones, is this one right here, Jersey Ear. Go check out his show. He does a really good job covering West Virginia sports. There's a lot of really good West Virginia content creators out there. There really is. And even the ones that are new are really good. But Jersey Ear does a great job. He says John Lewis crushed the quarterback at the end of the game. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. That hit by John Lewis, it was legal within the rules of the game. It wasn't a late hit, and he did it with his shoulder pad, not his helmet. But he flat out knocked that dude. That was an awesome hit. Awesome hit. I loved it. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. WVU Fan 13 says, I think we need to see how we play against Ohio first. Ohio will be a test. We could honestly lose that game if we don't play better than today. Absolutely right. Ohio is a good football team. They gave Rutgers everything they could handle. And honestly, you can make the argument that Ohio could have won that game. They only lost by 3 points, 34-31 to Rutgers, a Rutgers team who was a bowl team in the Big Ten a year ago, and is expected to be a bowl team again this year, I believe. So Parker Navarro at quarterback is nothing to sneeze at. The young man's very good. And the culture that they've been able to build at Ohio, even though they changed head coaches, the head coach has been with the team, has been a part of the staff for a while now. So they're just continuing the culture they've already had. They've done a really good job there. And I think they're building something. They could potentially be building something special there in Athens, Ohio. So that game's definitely not going to be an easy one for sure. Yeah, I brightened the background up a little bit. I didn't like how dark it was. Anyway, see. Pitt looks vicious compared to West Virginia today. Sure hope Rich Rod can get it fixed. Yeah, guys, I'm telling you, and I said this, I think, in our season preview show that Jonathan and I did. Pitt, I think Pitt has a chance to win the ACC this year. I really do. I know I don't like Pitt. I can't stand them. They're our arch rival, but I'm just calling it like I see it. On paper, the Pitt Panthers are a really good football team, and that's going to be a hard game to win because they got more continuity. They got more continuity in the coaching staff, more continuity on the roster. They're bringing some talent back from last year, especially at quarterback with Eli Holstein. That's going to be a good football team. It's going to be a tough game for West Virginia to win. But I want to talk about today's game. Thank you, Chris, for reminding everybody to hit the like button. Please do that. Right now, YouTube is really, really focusing on pushing channels that get a lot of interaction, a lot of comments, a lot of likes. All of that stuff really, really helps. And by the way, YouTube has a new feature that they're rolling out to only certain channels. Not all channels have this. There's a hype button now. Right between the download button and the thanks button under every video is a button called hype. Now, you can only hype 3 videos a week, okay? So use them wisely, but I would appreciate it if you would use me as at least one of those 3 hypes. If you have other channels you watch you want to hype, that's fair. But I'm asking if you hype my videos, it'll really help my stuff get pushed out more to YouTube and hopefully help me grow here and get more subs. I think I can get to 10,000 subscribers before the end of football season. That hype will help me get there. And but likes, comments, all that stuff helps too. And it's all free, guys. All that stuff's free to do. It doesn't cost you a penny. Even subscribing is free. But if you do want to support me financially, you can drop me a super chat right now. There's a $sign right near the chat box. You hit that $sign, put whatever amount you want to donate, type your comment in. It'll highlight your comment. I'll be sure to read it right here live on the show. And it's also an easy way to support me. And you can kind of guide the conversation wherever you want to take it. Our defense can beat Pitt, maybe. But man, if the offense can play, and again, Pitt's a tougher competition, so it's really hard to say this, but if they can play like they did today, as far as moving the football, but without those penalties, absolutely they can beat Pitt. But they cannot turn the ball over 4 times. You cannot do it. Because, again, Robert Morris had opportunities today to move the football and they dropped 3 or 4 balls that were wide of guys were wide open and dropping balls. They turned it over twice. Again, now you have to credit West Virginia's defense for forcing those turnovers. I get it. But Pitt's more likely to take advantage of those situations. Those drop balls, Pitt's not going to have as many of those. So, and they got a better quarterback in Eli Holstein. They've got an outstanding running back in Desmond Reed. Pitt's going to be much more dangerous than Robert Morris. But I do think the defense is at very least the defense will keep West Virginia, in my opinion. Again, this is all based on watching one game against an inferior team. I get it. But in my opinion, the defense is at least good enough to keep West Virginia in every single football game. That's just my thoughts on it. And it'll be up to the offense to do the rest. And special teams. Can't forget special teams. Thank you, Morris Davis, for the super chat, my man. He says, how do you think we did? I am not as optimistic as I was. Morris, it's a fair question. First half, obviously ugly and bad. Second half, I liked it. Again, defense played good enough to win. Defense is going to be, in my opinion, good enough to keep the West Virginia in every game. But the offense has got you can't have 9 penalties. You can't have 4 turnovers. You can't have, hitting people out of bounds. You can't have those boneheaded mistakes 9 times in a game. Actually, if you count the fumbles, 14 times in a game, 13 counting lost fumbles. You can't have that many boneheaded mental mistakes in a game when you're playing teams like Ohio and Pitt and Kansas and Utah and Colorado and TCU and BYU, and you just keep going down the list. The rest of the schedule, West Virginia has to clean up those mistakes. They got by with it today. I'm going to chalk it up to first game jitters. I'm going to chalk it up to first game under a new coach, first game of this team playing together other than practice. I'm chalking it up to that for now. Now, it's possible. It's very possible it continues. Let's hope that I don't think it'll happen because all the stuff I'm seeing from the turnover and mental mistake standpoint is all fixable. And Rich Rod is a coach who's going to hold guys more accountable for those mistakes than I think what we saw in the past, right? If a guy makes the same mistake over and over and over again, he's probably going to take him out of the game. With the previous staff, they would keep guys in. They would make the same mistake over and over and over, and he wouldn't take them out. I don't think you're going to see that with Rich Rod. So I think the problems will get fixed. The one thing that concerns me is the offensive line. I didn't think they should have been more dominant today than they were. I thought Nico should have had more time to throw the ball. I thought they should have opened up better running lanes. I didn't think they did a very good job getting to the second level to helping spring. Jaheim could have sprung a few big runs, in my opinion, but the linebackers weren't getting blocked like they could have been. Now, I will say this, though, and I'll get to your super chat in just a second, John, but I will say this. The perimeter blocking by the receivers and the tight ends, pretty darn good today. They were able to get outside the edge and get yards on the perimeter better than we have seen in the past. Now, all this has got to be taken with a grain of salt because of the competition. I understand. I get that. But it was still refreshing to see receivers that are taking blocking seriously on each and every snap. So I think that's a good sign. I liked how Nico did a good job taking care of the football. He didn't fumble it. He didn't throw it away. He didn't make any dumb decisions. He managed the game very, very well. I really, really like Nico as the guy there. He's not going to put you in a lot of bad spots, in my opinion. When he had guys pressuring him, things didn't seem to be moving too fast for him. If he needed to take a sack, he took a sack. He didn't try to do anything stupid. So I like that aspect of it. So I do think the offense. I do think the things on the offense are all fixable, and I think the offensive line struggles will get better with time once these guys have a chance to play more together and just get more snaps together. It's bottom line. John Waffle H2P says ACC is the conference of the year. Weak Big 12 and SEC have no chance. Well, John, I will admit the Big 12 has not looked very good this weekend. Outside of Kansas, who's been dominant, Iowa State has looked good so far. Big 12 has lost games. The Big 12 is 0-3 against other Power 4 conferences. That's fact. Cincinnati lost to Nebraska. You saw Colorado lose to Georgia Tech, and you saw Baylor lose to Auburn. all games that I felt like those teams should have won or could have won at least, and they didn't. Now, can West Virginia beat Pitt? Can Iowa State beat Iowa? There are a few other chances for the Big 12 to get some of these games in the win column, but that's obviously yet to be determined. But as of right now, the Big 12 not looking super impressive as a conference. I will admit, John, right now, I'm not going to go as far as to say the ACC is the conference of the year, but right now they're looking pretty good. Now, last I looked, Syracuse was getting their tail kicked by Tennessee, so you might want to pump the brakes on that a little bit. But I got to give credit where it's due, man. Good win over Colorado. Florida State whooping up on Alabama. Got to give credit where it's due. Pitt put up 69 points today or whatever it was. So hats off to the teams that did that. Got to give credit where it's due. Got to keep it real. Stormy Cyclone in the house. Thanks for joining the show, brother. Raven says, I would have loved to be a fly on the wall inside the locker room at halftime. Me too, Raven, because I'm sure Rich Rod gave it to him. But I got to thinking, you know what? I wonder if he took a different approach. Because when the team is struggling, fumbling the ball like that, like I said, it's kind of contagious. It gets mental because you start thinking about. It's just like in basketball when you see a team start missing free throws. It gets in your head. And you're like, man, you get up to the line. And you're like, man, I hope I can make these. You start doubting yourself. You start losing confidence. Turnovers in football is, I think, a little similar to that. You start thinking, man, I don't want to be the guy who fumbles the ball. You start playing not to make mistakes instead of playing loose and free. Maybe that was the case, but knowing Rich Rod, he probably did let him have it at halftime. But I'm kind of wondering if maybe he didn't use the opposite approach and say, you know what, I don't need to put any more pressure on these guys as they already are under. But I don't know. But you're right. More than likely, it was the former. John Kelly says, be interesting to see how some of the other Big 12 teams play, like TCU and Texas Tech and others. Yeah, it will be. Some really good football left to go today. As a matter of fact, I'm probably going to cut this stream off here in just a minute so I can watch some more football. But I really appreciate everybody hopping on. Again, thanks to my sponsor, Appalachia Digital. Thanks to all of you who supported me today, both on X and on YouTube. Again, if you're watching on X, please come over to YouTube afterwards, subscribe, and watch my past shows. Please like my videos. Please comment on my videos. Please hype my videos if you can. And let's get this baby growing. All right. And shout out to Rogue Media Network, Rogue Sports Network, for allowing me to be a part of their team. Shout out to swivel.com, SWVLE, Chrome extension where you can get all your Couz's Corner content right on your desktop when you right in one place. Go to SWVLE.com, sign up or search for Couz's Corner, follow Couz's Corner, and then make sure to add it to your extensions and pin it, and then boom, you get all your Couz's Corner content all in one place. But thanks for joining the show. I really appreciate your support. Hope the rest of your day's top shelf. God bless you. Let's go Mountaineers and Q Country Roads.